Hi, it's Vex, and today we have the staples of September 2023. That is right. And of course, with all of my staple videos, there is a theme. This is the Phyrexian Praetor theme. That's right. We have Phyrexian Praetors that are essentially staples. Not all the Praetors are staples. If you notice, we are missing a blue one, the Jin-Cataxis. Jin-Cataxis is slightly too mean for me to include in decks because one makes you discard your entire hand every turn, which is very, very mean. The other one makes you counters your first artifact, I think creature or artifact, sorcery, instant spell. Yeah, just counters it. So it makes the game very degenerate. Some of the other ones, like the other Vorinclex, makes you tap for half your mana every turn. More degenerate. But these, I think these are fair to include EDH decks. Let's actually go through them here. We have the white, black, red, green ones. We have our Eldritch Norn Mother Machines. And yes, if you notice, this one does not have the normal art because I never opened the normal art. I keep opening other arts. As you can see, I have the Phyrexian art. I have the oil slick art. I have this, I don't know, other full art, borderless art, but no normal one. I will get a normal one eventually and replace it. But today we have these ones, and let's actually read the English one so we know what it does. So 4 and a white legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Vigilance. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponents control to trigger. So essentially, it is really good at doubling your things and disabling all your opponent's stuff. I think this is fair because, I don't include in every deck to be mean. I include in a deck to double my stuff. And if it happens to disable your opponent's stuff, so be it. They have to live with it. Then we have the original Eldritch Norn Grand Cenobite. 5 white. Same stats, 4/7. If I didn't mention it, 4/7 Vigilance. This costs only 5 mana value, 7 mana value for 4/7 Vigilance. So this one's much, much better and easily castable. This one's Vigilance, as I said that already. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. What that means, it kills all your tokens, buff all your little dudes. It's just a very good card. Again, I do it in a deck that either wants to reanimate, have a lot of token synergies, or, wants to make the opponent salty, of course. I think it's still fair. It doesn't wreck you and stop you from playing the game like Jin-Cataxis, of course, but it is a very good card. Then we have the 2 Sheoldreds here. Sheoldred Whispering 1, this one. 5 black, Swamp Walk, 6/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is cool. It's not like ETB do something. It's like you gotta wait all the turns around, then it does something. Then at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. So not too bad. These prayers aren't like instant. Oh, well, except for this one. This one instant kills out a bunch of tokens. But these, you have time to react. If you play Sheoldred or reanimate Sheoldred, you have time to kill it before it's your turn, or wait for your opponents to trigger. Then before your turn, you kill it, and before I get something back. So I think this is really good. I usually do this in reanimator decks because it gets things back from the graveyard. Then we have Sheoldred the Apocalypse, much easily castable. 2 black, legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. All these have been errated to Phyrexian Praetor, even though it just says Praetor right there. Death Touch. When you draw a card, you gain 2 life. When an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. This is just good in generic decks, but really good in decks where you draw lots of cards. You need that life. You buffer your life total because black, wants you to pay life to do things. It's good in decks with wheels, Wheel of Fortune and stuff, discard decks. So it's got its uses, which I really enjoy. So those are the black and white Praetors. We have the Praetors without additional words, Urbrass. It makes it harder to search, of course. These Praetors aren't like the old school Praetors, the 2 sets of Praetors where they have something good for you, something bad for the opponent. Urbrass is just something good for you. So it's not too mean, I should say. 2 red, legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor, 4/4, first strike. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Urbrass deals 1 damage to target opponent. So only 1 opponent, then add a red. Kind of like Burgate gets your stuff back. Pay 1 red, exile Urbrass, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery and only if you've cast 3 or more instants or sorcery spells this turn. So this is definitely in a spell slinger deck. You cast 3 spells, deals 1 damage to 3 ways. I wish it dealt 1 damage to each opponent, so 9 damage total, but that'd be too broken. Then you can pay 1 red. This is very easy to transform after you cast those 3 spells. Then you have the backside, the Great Work. And then once you flip Urbrass, this exiles, you put it back, boom, chapter 1 triggers right away. The Great Work deals 3 damage to target opponent and each creature they control. You could do a little board wipe or negotiations with them. Create 3 treasure tokens, more mana. Then until end of turn, you may cast instants or sorcery spells from your graveyard, or from any graveyard, which is even better. If a spell cast this way would be put into a graveyard, exile instead. Then exile the Great Work and return to the battlefield as Urbrass. So, this works really well in Spell Slingers. Again, does damage, gets you treasures, and then third turn around. Eventually, if that happens, you cast spells from any graveyard, instant sorceries, of course, while the front half of Urbrass is in play, generate mana, deal damage. So, it's a really good card. Even if you never flip it, it's a really good card in the face. And you have these cool treasure tokens like Urbrass's arm as a treasure because I guess he gets dismantled in the story. So, it's a little cool treasure token. Always have those tokens with you. The last Praetor here, we have Vorinclex, 3 green. Legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Trample, reach, 6/6. Remember, reach can block flying. That is actually very important. More important than you would think it is because people forget about it, like me, of course. When Vorinclex ETBs, search your library for up to 2 forest cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle. Any forest cards, including Triomes, Murmuring Boss, Shocklands, Forest in general. So this is a 3-for-1. Then you get a 6/6 dude. Then this has a 6 green, exile it. No other restrictions. You don't have to sack creatures, do random things like the other ones have. You just paste 8 mana, then flip it. And all these are flipped at sorcery speed. You can't just do it at an opponent's turn. I wish I can. When you flip it, you mill 10 cards, put up to 2 creature cards from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. So you mill 10, you get 2 back. It's pretty good for a green creature deck. Then distribute 7 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. That's pretty neat. And then until end of turn, creatures you control gain 1. This creature fights target creature you don't control, exile this, and then return to the battlefield. Unfortunately, it doesn't give itself the ability. It grants everything on the board currently, the ability, and then flips itself. Then you search out 2 new forests. It does not give itself that fight ability. I wish it did. That'd be super cool because Vorinclex does have a beefy body. All right, with those prayers out of the way, we'll get to the other staples for September 2023 real quickly. If you notice, I like to have a boatload of lands because I make many decks with my staples, and sometimes I make decks that share the same colors. So I have another set of Shocklands here. Eventually, I have another set of Triomes. So another set of Shocklands will go into my staple pile. I have the infamous Wasteland, which I use in a lot of decks, mostly landfall decks. There's decks that get Wasteland back from the graveyard because it's fun to do things. If you've seen my Azusa deck. So I have Strip Mine already as a staple. Now we have Wasteland as one of them. And our last land here, we have Westvale Abbey. Now Westvale, not the last land, my bad. We have the Murmuring Boss, which I talked about earlier. We'll get to that in a minute, Westvale Abbey. It's a forest, so it can be fetched by Vorinclex. And then as ETBs, you may reveal a Treefold card from your hand. If you don't, Murmuring Boss comes into play tapped, or ETBs tapped. It naturally has add 1 green, but then add white, black, and it deals 1 damage to you. I wish other lands have this. This is the original Triome, but only 1 land type. But it is a staple in Abzan deck. Every Abzan deck I've done, which I've done a lot of, will have this. Like Onyxia will have this. Merkle has this. So this is going to be a staple because if I get an Abzan deck, this is going to be in it. We have Westvale Abbey. I think this is a good card too. I've used this many, many times. Adds 1 colorless. Tap 5 tap, which I've done many times. Pay 1 life. Make a 1/1 white and black human cleric right there. Then you can sacrifice 5 creatures. There's good in token decks, good in sack decks, and all that fun stuff. Sacrifice 5 creatures. Then you transform this. This is a black color identity because the backside is black. Ormondal Profane Prince. Flying Lifelink, Indestructible Haste. When you transform, you can boom, bash in for 9. Hit the opponent hard. So again, this has a token, so have your token there. All right, now that's the end of the lands. We have other cool cards. Go through quickly. As I mentioned with the shock lands, I like to make multiple decks. I have Toxic Deluge. I try to do different types of arts. So maybe when Ravnica Remastered, I'll put another set of shock lands with different type of arts. This is a Secret Lair art, which I have extras of. We have Toxic Deluge right there, new art from the Commander Collection Black. I was hoping they'd do more Commander Collections, but maybe they just won't. Maybe Commander Collection Red eventually. But that is an Ultra Staple right there. I have that. Another Ultra Staple Soul Guide Lantern. They reprinted it in Wilds of Eldraine. Good Graveyard Hate. So that's there. We have another Wilds of Eldraine card, Stroke of Midnight. 2 and a white. Instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. This is like Generous Gift. Again, have your white human token. It is like Generous Gift, except for this cannot hit lands. It's non-land permanents, but it makes a smaller creature. And, you know, I personally like Generous Gift better, but depends. If I have Beast Within, I might have a Stroke of Midnight because the body does matter. I've been killed by that 3/3 Beast or 3/3 Elephant many times. So having a 1/1 makes it less harmful. So it just depends on your meta and what you have in your deck. If you have a lot of things that kill lands, then this might be better instead of Generous Gift. All right. We're on to the last 3 cards, and we need to make up for a lack of blue cards because if you notice, nothing's blue. We've had some Abzan, Black Identity, Black Color Identity, more Black, White Identity. We have the 3 blue cards here. Let's go for the Lord of the Rings card. Raise the Palisade. 4 blue. Choose a creature type. Return all creatures that aren't of the chosen type to their owner's hand. This is like partially a Cyclonic Rift, a one-way Cyclonic Rift. If you've seen my channel, you've seen my decks with Kindred Dominance. That's the black one. Destroy all creatures of that are not chosen type. That costs 7. This costs 5. I think just putting them back to hand is very good. Costs less. Usually you do this. Alpha Strike, kill the person with the most threatening person. And then we have these cards that do similar things. Kindred Discovery. Speaking of the Kindred cycle. 3 blue. Enchantment. As it ETBs, choose a creature type. You know, maybe you do an Eldraine deck. You choose fairies. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. Now, there's no stipulation on tokens. So you make a token, draw a card. And if you attack with a token, draw a card. So I think it's very good. We have something similar in Reconnaissance Mission, 2 blue. Enchantment. When a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. This is an attack trigger right there. This is deal damage trigger, except for this is any creature type. So it depends. Sometimes I put these on the same deck because maybe I have, like, again, fairies. I have flying creatures I can get in on the air, are very evasive. This also cycling. So just in case you've drawn too much of your cards, you could cycle this away and hopefully prevent decking yourself. All right. Or just not casting, of course. You have that option as well. Those are our staples this month. I know I kind of rushed through them a lot because, you know, I have a giant pile of staples and I just want to get through them. I really enjoy, like, when I make a deck because I like to make lots of decks that you've seen in this channel. It's so much easier when you just have a giant pile of staples. You just yank out of them. Sometimes they're staples for specific archetypes like Urbrask. Sometimes they're just generically good staples like Soul Guide Lantern, Toxic Deluge. Sometimes good removal. I love removal as staples because I just have variety. When I build decks, I see a bunch of variety I have. Sometimes I choose this, Stroke of Midnight. Sometimes I choose Generous Gift. And it's fun to play with variety. You don't have to keep playing with the same cards over and over again. I know, coming from the guy with 1,000,000 staples. That's the reason I have 1,000,000 staples. I have varieties inside the staples. We have Elesh Norn. You know, this is really good. I mean, technically, every deck that can play white probably should play Elesh Norn. I don't include in every deck. I think that's the beauty of Commander is a 100-card limitation. Imagine Commander without that limitation. You have 200 cards. You just keep stuffing your deck full of junk. Anyways, that is all I have for today. I have the staples list in the description below if you want to check it out. Thank you for hanging in this far. And if you enjoyed the video, give the video a thumbs up, smash subscribe, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. And as always, have a wonderful day.